Unpacked, the second chapter, really is the second chapter of the guests that have graced, this show and joined us. There have been so many developments that have happened over the past 2 or so years of Unpacked's time, on television, and then 3 years online that people have been continuing to watch. And we thought as a team, let's revisit some of these stories and see where everybody is. A show like Unpacked is important in South Africa. Initially, we thought that we just wanted people to hear certain stories. And I really thought all the way back to when I was growing up, hearing these stories, watching your Oprah Winfrey's, Felicia Mabuza, and being so fascinated. And it gives us perspective. It gives us, an insight into what other people are going through. For me, it gives me gratitude that there's certain things I have not had to ever experience or live through. But more importantly, it gives me empathy. And I think as a whole, as a people, as South Africans, I would love for us to be more empathetic with one another. Unpacked is different from other talk shows and platforms in that we're kind of old school, but we are marrying into what's happening at the moment with podcasts and conversation spaces. Being a broadcaster, it was important to me that we keep the standards at the level of a broadcast, even before we had a television broadcaster jump on board. But more than that, we aren't going for likes, we aren't going for reshares. Doesn't mean we don't want the viewers, but our goal is a lot more different than just trending or going viral. We find stories that people can resonate with, stories that people can learn from. And it is a form of edutainment as opposed to just talking. And there have been episodes that even, when we speak as a team about, let's have this topic on, and then we get so much more than what we bargained for. And then others where we're like, we have to have this story, and then it happens, we're like, it's not exactly what we thought. So I think what makes it different is we are treating it like a full-on television broadcast each and every time. The team that works on it, there are a lot of brains and input on the show, but also we listen to the comments, we listen to the feedback, and we try to give a bit more. The moment the show got big after the first season, people started contacting us to say, I also want to share my story. And more importantly, they started to feel safe with me. So I think it is a space where we don't discriminate against anybody. We don't judge. Yes, I have that face that's like, and some of the things, because I too am human, and I think I represent the audience's perspective. So other than being an interview, I'm still a person who's like, what? And I think it needs to be on the pulse of the majority and not just the small percentage of us that live online in the bubble of social media.
For me, because I never dealt with the feelings or the notion that I identify with the Afrikaner community. I've never really 100% delved into that feeling and understood what I said on air. So in the first part, yes, the 95% of people giving me negative feedback really hurt me.
I immediately, when we, got connected, was like, you look well rested. You look well rested. You look so well. And I think it's important to highlight that, because so many comment that they would have never survived what you went through. Choosing the guests to come back for the second chapter was actually not as easy as it seems, because there were so many to select from. And we said, let's actually go to the very beginning, where it all started, especially with some of the guests who did not know what this show was going to become. Like, they just came on a hope and a whim of like, okay, I'll come through and see what this is about. Definitely the shows that caused, I don't want to say controversy, but that had people talking, that had people engaging. We're like, we have to have this person back. Maybe we need to clarify certain things. Maybe we need to understand certain things. We wanted guests who had major developments in their lives since being on the show, where it's like, oh my gosh, we need to tell everybody that this happened. There is a guest who's, two guests on the show who are no longer alive, and we can't even talk to them. And life is moving, life is happening, and I think sometimes it is nice to be like, actually, what happened to this person? And we're making it easy for everybody. You don't have to go online and search. We will have the guests back and chat to them about what has changed since they were with us. The way we choose the guests and topics for every episode, so usually the team will throw ideas around, and if majority is like, I'm not sure, and then the person presenting the idea motivates and says, okay, let me go back and find out more and see. So it's not like, it's such a difficult way to answer that question, because sometimes a guest was chosen because I met them myself and I was fascinated with their story and I was like, I need you on my show. And sometimes a guest was chosen because they wrote in and what they were sharing was just so powerful. Sometimes the story was chosen because we're like, okay, we've done some really dark and heavy things. Let's go a bit lighter. What have we been curious about? Like, hey, how do you get into the army? Sometimes that's how a story is chosen. And other times, as an interviewer, I end an interview, and when I get home, I'm like, I forgot to ask. And then I was like, I need them back so I can ask that question again. But more importantly, the comments under the videos, not just on YouTube, also on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, which is the app formerly known as Twitter, we also sort of see what people are saying, and we'll say, ooh, we really should get this person back because there was so much more left to the story. My favorite kinds of stories, the inspiring ones are often my favorite kinds because I get energized. Like, as a human being, it energizes me, not just for the day, it invigorates my spirit, and reaffirms what we're doing. The stories where at the end of the show, in the shoot, the person says, thank you so much, I feel so much better, reaffirm my purpose of doing what I'm doing. But also the stories where people choose to share things that they've never shared with anybody else. Like, what an honor and a privilege to be the one that is able to hold space for that conversation. So it's a combination of so many things, but there are episodes I come out of and I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel, but yeah, that conversation was needed though. And there are episodes where I'm like, what can we do? How can we fix this? I'm so sad. And then there's episodes where I'm like, guys, I love. That was so good. I love that so much. So it just depends. I think for me, as long as my human experience continues to grow and expand, my capacities grow and expand with each and every interview, I grow, not consciously like, oh, I need to ask that question like this, or that I watch myself and say, ooh, I didn't smile as hard. It was more of how I felt afterwards. And then I know, okay, the next time I'm sitting with someone maybe who's crying or feeling raw, I need to hold space a different way for them. A sneak peek of what you can expect in Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja's very first spin-off show called Unpacked. The second chapter is the very first episode that went out. And everybody went, what did she say? Huh? That's a sneak peek. And then an episode where people went, I need to pray for her. I'm going to pray for her. Sending you so much love and light. I wish you healing. That's all I'm going to say. Because you have to tune in for the rest.